As dividend growth investors, when we find a stock that is meeting all of our criteria, we get a little warm feeling inside and we're ready to buy some shares. So today, I want to share with you one stock that has given me that warm, fuzzy feeling on the inside. I want to share with you some of the details of that. I also want to talk about how I'm rebranding this channel. And I'm doing that for a very specific reason. And I want to share with you what that is. And hopefully you'll join me on this journey because I think it's an important one. And then lastly, I want to give a shout out to the new members of the inspiration and collaboration tiers of this channel. So let's get started. Hey guys, I'm getting that warm, fuzzy feeling about a particular stock. I want to share that with you right now. Who is it? It is none other than WEC Energy Group. And I want to walk through some of the reasons today that I believe that they have kind of come into a sweet spot from an investment thesis perspective and why I'm planning to add some more shares very soon to the portfolio. So here we go. First, they have a long track record of managing expenses. This is one of the most important things that a utility can do is to manage its O&M or operations and maintenance expenses. If you find a utility that is managing this and actually not only bringing it down on a per share basis, but actually reducing it, which is what we're seeing here with WEC Energy, that's a good sign. That means that they are really getting a handle on the costs of their business. Secondly, they have a history of quality earnings. So WEC Energy is growing what is called rate base. Rate base is where they've invested in projects that their commission then gives them permission to earn a return of and a return on that investment. So WEC Energy has been building that rate base over time. What that leads to is consistent increases in earnings. And the next thing we see here is that they are planning on an additional 6.5% to 7% of asset base growing every year consistently. You can depend on it. Next, they have a management team that seems to be performing well. First of all, they've had some acquisitions over the last few years, and those have all been accretive to earnings. Secondly, they have consistent earnings growth every year. And thirdly, they have consistent dividend growth every year. But it's important to point out that all companies have risks, and that's no different with utilities. Utilities have operational risk, regulatory risk, interest rate risk, and macroeconomy risks. So WEC is operating very well. They still have operational risk, but they seem to be managing that well. They have very good relationships with their regulators, so they seem to be managing that risk very well. Interest rates are driven by the Fed, so they're pretty much out of their control, but that is a risk, and that's a risk that they're dealing with at the moment. And then the macroeconomy is basically where there's going to be less load if industry shuts down and things like that. I don't expect that to be a huge issue for them. I think the biggest risk that WEC is dealing with is interest rates. And interest rates from the perspective that investors may have a little overzealous view of how fast interest rates are going to come down. Next, we see projected cash flows and the financing plan. You can see here that somewhere between 2024 and 2028, they plan to issue common shares, $1.8 to $2.2 billion. At today's prices, that's probably going to be around 25 million shares. I think that is a very reasonable approach because remember, as a utility, the way they make money is through investing money, and they invest money from either debt or equity. And we don't necessarily want them to have all debt. We want them to have some equity as well. So they're going to be raising equity, they're going to be raising debt and investing that into the grid and making money for us. Next, they have solid credit ratings. You can see that WEC Energy Group overall from the S&P perspective has A- ratings as well as their individual registrants. And in Moody's, it's a Baa1 or A2, A3, depending on which registrant it is. All of those are solid credit ratings for WEC Energy. Next, it's always important to look at the dividend safety score. According to Simply Safe Dividends, they are rated as very safe and 87. So I thought it would also be helpful to talk about the investment thesis. Why do I believe that, first of all, I want to invest in this company? And then secondly, why now? So let's walk through this investment thesis. First of all, WEC fits the definition of a dividend growth stock, having a 19-year dividend growth streak along with a 7% 5-year dividend CAGR. It's also important to point out that they have a 10% 10-year dividend CAGR. So they are increasing their dividend consistently. Secondly, earnings have grown consistently to support these dividend increases. One of the things we like to see is that the payout ratio is pretty flat. It's around the 65% range or so, but it's consistent every year. And we know that the dividend is increasing. So if the dividend is increasing and the payout ratio remains flat, we know that the earnings are growing at a sufficient rate to cover that dividend. As dividend growth investors, we like that. Next, WEC's stock price is under pressure from the potential of slower rate decreases. We all know that the Fed has indicated that they're going to reduce interest rates this year. The stock market investors seem to have been pretty aggressive about their assumptions related to that. And then here recently, they've kind of pulled those assumptions back in, which I believe is putting pressure on the price of WEC, causing it to be a great buy. Next, all the indicators like Morningstar's fair value calculation, the dividend yield compared to historical dividend yield, price earnings ratio compared to historical price earnings ratio, all of those show that this stock is undervalued. Next, they seem to have a strong management team who have solid relationships with regulators. If you want to know what the strategic competitive advantage is for a utility, it is strong relationships with the regulators. It is those regulators who work with the company to determine if and how they will get recovery of the costs that they have spent. And lastly, the analysts are expecting a 10.3% upside to the stock price over the next 12 months, plus a 4.2% dividend yield. When you put that together, you end up with a potential total return over the next year of 14.5%. Let's take a look at this in TipRanks. You can see here that this is WEC Group. The analysts are expecting a low of $75 per share, an average of somewhere around $88 a share, and a high somewhere around $95 per share. The current price is around $80 a share, meaning that there is about a 10.3% upside potential based on what the analysts are saying. Just a real quick aside, this information is coming from TipRanks, which is a new app that I have begun to use, and it is quickly becoming one of my favorite apps. And if you are interested in TipRanks, there is a link in the comments to this video that will offer 50% off to new subscribers. So you may want to check that out. So hopefully I've done justice sharing with you why I believe there's an investment thesis for WEC Energy. Now let's move on to why I've rebranded this channel. As you know, I have begun calling this channel Wealth Circuit Investing. And the whole purpose is inspiring passive income investors. That is what this channel is about inspiring you. So why the name Wealth Circuit? Well, first of all, wealth, when we look it up in the dictionary, it means the abundance of valuable financial assets that can be converted into a form used for transactions. We say that we want to build wealth to provide passive income for current and or future expenses. That's what our wealth is about. Our wealth is about making that wealth bigger. So, and maybe an analogy might be helpful. We send our laborers out into the field to gather the produce, right? And the more laborers we have, the more produce we can have. But it's basically our proxies who are going out into the market, and they are making us money, whether it be through stock price increases or dividends. They are making us money, and they are growing this wealth that we want to have. So wealth is a key word. Circuit is another word. And circuit is a closed system that gets energy from a common source. And that, my friends, is where this gets really exciting for me, because I want to be part of your success. So as wealth circuit investing, what we're looking to do is to build a network of serious investors who are wanting to not only grow and learn, but even share what they've learned for others to be able to grow and learn, so that it's a collaborative, interactive group of people. So Wealth Circuit is about us collaborating and encouraging and motivating each other to achieve more wealth, so that we can end up achieving the goals that we've set for ourselves. So how can you be a part of that? First of all, it's free to join. You can go in the comments to this video, click on my Discord server, go in there, sign up for the Wealth Circuit Discord. And if you're not familiar with the Discord, hey, don't worry about it. I wasn't either about a year ago. It's a great place for like-minded investors to come together and talk about things that are on their mind. So again, it's free to join. Just click on the link below. Next, if you want to get involved a little bit more and begin to support the channel, you can either follow this QR code, or there's a link in the comments to this video. Go to a place called Buy Me a Coffee. There are 2 levels of membership there. There's also a place for you to donate if you just appreciate what we do and you don't want to have a membership. And if you want to do that, that's fantastic. If you sign up for the Inspiration tier, then you will get the following things. First, you'll get access to book review videos. I just completed a video on Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's about a 30-minute review video, but it would take you hours to read that book. So having a review video where you can actually review that book, you may decide that you then want to read the book, or you may decide that there's another book that may be more applicable to you. Now, I do plan to add 1 book per month. And so every month I'm going to have a video reviewing a great either classic or a new book for investors. Second, you'll get a shout out on a future video, and I'm going to do that here in a few minutes for the new members. Thirdly, you'll get access to special Discord channels. There's a special section for Inspiration team members. And in that section, you'll get access to the Wealth Circuit Investing's portfolio, and I populate that on a weekly basis in this Discord server. You'll also see the performance of that portfolio on a weekly basis, also in the server. And then lastly, you will see any investing trades that the Wealth Circuit portfolio does before they actually happen. So if you want to be a part of that, go to this QR code and sign up. It's just as simple as that. Next, we've got an even greater level of engagement, and that is going to be the collaboration tier. It means you believe in what we're doing and you want to work with a small investing group. So what do you get out of this? Not only do you get everything that was in the Inspiration tier, but you get access to additional Discord server channels, a quarterly Zoom meeting with this group. And this group is limited to only 10 people. So there'll be 10 of us who are really working together to figure out where we should go and move forward with particular stocks in our portfolios. Lastly, I post any research that I do in this collaboration tier before I actually post the video. So the information on WEC was ready and available to my collaboration tier before the video even came out. I really appreciate all you guys and all you're doing to help this channel be successful. You guys mean the world to me. And right now I'm going to share with you our new Inspiration and Collaboration team members. You'll see that the new inspiration team members are Slammer6789 and Peter Svensson. And we have a new collaboration team member named Brad Durfee. So it is great to have these guys involved in this process. Looking forward to the future. And I hope you consider supporting this channel even more and in a more collaborative and interactive way, because I have found that that is what really gets me excited about these videos, is when I know that there's going to be discussion and we can challenge each other. We won't be mean to each other, but we can challenge each other and actually grow our portfolios together. Iron sharpens iron, and that's what this is about. Okay, well, there you have it. I really appreciate you guys. I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.